Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we're talking a little bit about going to sleep or not being able to sleep.
That's right. We are having some sleeping problems, and we're actually going to check out a couple of words related to this topic right now on Vocabulary Preview.
Vocabulary Preview.
Okay, so the first word is actually the technical word that describes being unable to sleep. It's called insomnia.
Right. So if you have insomnia, it means that you can't fall asleep. You can't sleep.
Okay, so this is a pretty serious condition. For example, if you have insomnia and you don't sleep for 3 or 4 nights, you're not going to do very well at work, right?
Right. Or if you're studying, you're tired at school, you can't concentrate. So it's a very big problem.
What's that other word, though? We have insomnia, but we also have another interesting disorder.
Right. If somebody is able to sleep but walks while they're sleeping, that person is called a sleepwalker.
That's right. And you don't actually just have to walk to be a sleepwalker.
Right.
You can do any number of strange things like basically acting like you're awake when you're not.
Exactly. So some people get up and walk, actually go outside. Some people get dressed. Some people even go downstairs and cook.
Yeah, that's right. And the worst is the people who eat because they gain weight and they don't know why.
Exactly. So sleepwalking is what you do. And if you do this, you're called a sleepwalker.
Okay, sleepwalk is the verb. Sleepwalker is the noun or the person.
All right, so we've taken a look at 2 words that we're going to find in our dialogue today. Why don't we go now and listen to the dialogue for the first time?
Alex, what's up with you? You look dreadful.
Hey, Jill. I don't know. I've been having trouble sleeping these past few weeks. I usually lie in bed for hours trying to get to sleep. I've tried stretching and different breathing techniques before going to bed. I've tried eating and not eating different foods. I've even tried counting sheep. And then, when I finally get to sleep, I have these really disturbing nightmares. So I usually wake up in a panic and more tired than before I went to sleep.
Wow. Maybe you should get that checked out. Maybe you're stressed?
Just take some sedatives. Works for me. Every so often, having some melatonin on hand helps me when I have trouble sleeping. It works on all kinds of sleeping disorders. It's the stuff pilots use to regulate their sleeping patterns.
I heard of that. But does that apply to Alex's situation?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Sounds like he only has transient insomnia since it's a recent thing, so taking melatonin should do the trick.
But shouldn't he be looking into why it's been happening?
Well, aren't you the little psychologist? Our buddy's having trouble sleeping. It's easy and curable. It's not something freakish like if he was a sleepwalker.
Well, there's that, too.
All right, we're back. So obviously this person not only has insomnia, but also has nightmares, sleepwalks, a mess.
That's right. And you can tell when someone hasn't been sleeping well. They have that look like there's bags under their eyes or they just look really tired. And so the friend here says, Alex, you look dreadful.
That's right, dreadful. So this is an adjective and it's a way to describe someone that looks terrible. You look horrible. You look tired. You look sleepy.
That's right. So this is not a compliment. This is something that you say when you're worried about someone. So for example, if someone's really, really tired, you say, you look dreadful. Or if someone is wearing very dirty clothes, they don't look like they went home yesterday, you say, oh, what's wrong? You look dreadful.
Right. I think you can also use it to describe objects or maybe food, right? Mm-hmm. This lasagna is dreadful.
It means it's very bad. And
right.
You don't want to say that to the person who cooked it, of course.
Exactly. All right. So the person, obviously, because is suffering from insomnia, looks dreadful. And he was explaining what he does to try to fall asleep. For example, counting sheep, stretching, and he also said that he tried different breathing techniques.
Okay, so basically a technique is an approach to something, a kind of method. Mm-hmm. But in this case, we're talking about breathing techniques. So for some people, one breathing technique is breathing in through your nose and breathing out through your mouth. like that. So that's one kind of technique.
So a technique, as you say, is a way of doing something.
Yes.
So breathing techniques are different ways of breathing. So maybe you will relax, so maybe you'll fall asleep, things like this.
Exactly. It's one of those things that you might learn about in a yoga class, for example. Just different breathing techniques.
Right, and you can combine techniques with other words as well, adding the ing. For example, you have walking techniques, maybe to put less stress on your knees, or running techniques, swimming techniques. I think there's a technique for almost everything.
Just about anything you can do, there's a technique for it, I
Right.
think.
Yeah, for sure. All right, and well, moving on, he was talking about his nightmares, and he described his nightmares as disturbing. He has disturbing nightmares.
Okay, well, I think this is an important word to cover here, Marco, because we've heard the verb to disturb before. Like, I'm sorry to disturb you. It means I'm sorry to bother you. But disturbing is an adjective. It describes something that makes me very uncomfortable, right?
Right.
So, for example, a lot of times in the news, we see very disturbing images, car accidents or fires or bombs. And what's disturbing is when you see human beings who have been hurt. So, images that make you really uncomfortable or sad, these are disturbing.
Exactly. So disturbing nightmares are nightmares that are not very pleasant. They make him scared maybe or uncomfortable.
Right, like a dream, for example, where your parents die. It's pretty disturbing.
Exactly. All right. And well, one of his friends recommended, you know what? Stop with all of this. Just take some sedatives.
Okay, so sedatives are a kind of medicine that help a person relax or that help make a person tired.
Right. So I think it comes from the verb to sedate.
Yes.
And basically that is to calm down, to tranquilize.
That's right. So in this case, we're talking about a person, but you can also give an animal sedatives. For example, if you want to take your dog on an airplane, the dog needs to relax, you give it some sedatives.
Exactly. And I think when he mentioned a specific name of a sedative, it's melatonin.
That's right. So melatonin, melatonin, is a chemical that our bodies naturally produce that help calm us down. And so a lot of pharmaceutical companies or drug companies sell melatonin in a pill form. It's a chemical that helps you relax.
Exactly. So obviously if you take melatonin, you're going to feel sleepy or you're going to be very relaxed and you're going to fall asleep a lot easier.
Well, hopefully.
Hopefully. That's right. So, and well, the whole thing that we've been talking about, insomnia, sleepwalking, these are called sleeping disorders.
Right, or you might also hear the term sleep disorders. They mean problems with sleeping. So people who either cannot fall asleep, or people who have bad dreams, or people who sleepwalk.
Exactly. So a disorder is something of an illness or a condition that is not normal. So for example, as you said, a sleeping disorder or a sleep disorder, it means that you're not able to sleep properly or normally.
But there are other kinds of disorders, right?
Right. I guess many people have heard of eating disorders.
Okay, so that's basically people who do not eat like everyone else.
Exactly. So that's what happens with a disorder. All right. So we've taken a look at a lot of vocab. Now it's time for us to take a look at Fluency Builder. But before that, why don't we listen to the dialogue again?
Alex, what's up with you? You look dreadful.
Hey, Jill. I don't know. I've been having trouble sleeping these past few weeks. I usually lie in bed for hours trying to get to sleep. I've tried stretching and different breathing techniques before going to bed. I've tried eating and not eating different foods. I've even tried counting sheep. And then, when I finally get to sleep, I have these really disturbing nightmares. So I usually wake up in a panic and more tired than before I went to sleep.
Wow. Maybe you should get that checked out. Maybe you're stressed?
Just take some sedatives. Works for me. Every so often, having some melatonin on hand helps me when I have trouble sleeping. It works on all kinds of sleeping disorders. It's the stuff pilots use to regulate their sleeping patterns.
I heard of that. But does that apply to Alex's situation?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Sounds like he only has transient insomnia since it's a recent thing, so taking melatonin should do the trick.
But shouldn't he be looking into why it's been happening?
Well, aren't you the little psychologist? Our buddy's having trouble sleeping. It's easy and curable. It's not something freakish like if he was a sleepwalker.
Well, there's that too.
All right, we're back. So now we have 3 main phrases for Fluency Builder. Why don't we start with the first one?
Okay, so you heard in today's dialogue an interesting phrase. I don't know if it exists in other languages, but in English we say when you're trying to fall asleep, there's a good technique to help you do so. You count sheep.
Yeah, I think you see it in cartoons all the time. A person is sleeping, and over that cartoon's head is a little cloud, and you see sheep jumping over a fence, right?
So, yeah, basically there's a fence, and you say 1, 2,
Right.
3, and the process of counting helps relax a person.
And then you fall asleep.
Right.
So counting sheep, I guess you're not literally out in a field counting sheep. You're just imagining sheep in your head, and you're trying to fall asleep.
That's right, counting sheep.
All right. And, well, one of his friends recommended that maybe he should go to a doctor. And Jill said that by saying, maybe you should get that checked out.
Okay, so to get something checked out, to get it checked out, this means to have a professional give you a suggestion or to have a professional look at something.
Exactly. So maybe you should get examined. Maybe you should go to the doctor.
This isn't just about disorders, right? I mean, what if I have a sore tooth? I could say this.
Right. So if you have a toothache, I would recommend, maybe you should get that checked out by my dentist.
Right. Or maybe if you have a bad rash, you know, your skin is very red. I say, Marco, I think you should get that checked out by a doctor.
Exactly. So to get something checked, to get something examined by a doctor or a professional. All right. And the last phrase that we have for you.
So the last phrase we have today comes from a suggestion at the end. The friend suggests taking melatonin. And he says, listen, taking melatonin should do the trick.
Right. So if you end a phrase by saying that should do the trick, basically you're saying that should solve your problem. That should help you.
Exactly. So the trick, you don't have to think about what the trick is. It's just a way of saying it should fix your problem. So for example, when someone is fixing my car and they have one more thing to do and it's finished, he says, the car mechanic might say, that should do the trick.
Right.
That means problem solved.
Or maybe you want to hang a picture on your wall. So somebody puts a nail in the wall and that should do the trick, and maybe that'll hold up the painting.
Done.
Okay. So that's a way of saying that should solve the problem. This should be the solution. That should be all.
Okay.
Okay. So why don't we go back and listen to the dialogue one last time?
Alex, what's up with you? You look dreadful.
Hey, Jill. I don't know. I've been having trouble sleeping these past few weeks. I usually lie in bed for hours trying to get to sleep. I've tried stretching and different breathing techniques before going to bed. I've tried eating and not eating different foods. I've even tried counting sheep. And then, when I finally get to sleep, I have these really disturbing nightmares. So I usually wake up in a panic and more tired than before I went to sleep.
Wow. Maybe you should get that checked out. Maybe you're stressed?
Just take some sedatives. Works for me. Every so often, having some melatonin on hand helps me when I have trouble sleeping. It works on all kinds of sleeping disorders. It's the stuff pilots use to regulate their sleeping patterns.
I heard of that. But does that apply to Alex's situation?
Yeah, sure. Why not? Sounds like he only has transient insomnia since it's a recent thing, so taking melatonin should do the trick.
But shouldn't he be looking into why it's been happening?
Well, aren't you the little psychologist? Our buddy's having trouble sleeping. It's easy and curable. It's not something freakish like if he was a sleepwalker.
Well, there's that, too.
All right, we're back. So talking about dreaming, nightmares, insomnia, all of this, what do you do if you can't fall asleep?
I don't really have this problem personally because
fall asleep anywhere.
I could fall asleep anywhere, anytime.
I've heard some people take like warm milk before going to sleep.
Yes, some people take milk, although I also heard that dairy products before bedtime can make you have nightmares.
Oh, really?
If you eat cheese before bed.
I've heard that as well. I've heard that if you have seafood before bed, you'll have nightmares as well. But actually, have you ever had a dream when you are doing something and you wake up in the middle of that?
Yes.
I remember once I was dreaming I was drinking a soda. And all of a sudden I woke up and I had my hand like in the air, like doing the
Weird.
action of me actually drinking the soda.
Actually, sometimes this happens to me when I'm falling asleep. I imagine I'm on a bike or something, and I start to feel myself moving my legs. And I wake up and I'm like, wait, what am I doing? So the brain is very strange, I think, especially in those times when you're kind of asleep and you're kind of awake.
Also, when you wake up suddenly, I don't know if other people have experienced this, but you feel like you're falling or something.
Yep.
All of a sudden, you just wake up like with a shake.
Yeah, your body moves.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really
It's very scary. Your heart starts to beat. I don't know why that happens though.
It's unusual. Well, we're curious to know what your sleep habits are. Do you have a hard time sleeping, or are you like me? It's very easy for you to fall asleep. Let us know at our website, englishpod.com.
All right, we'll see you guys there.
Bye.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Fall asleep. Go to sleep. A drug that calms or relaxes someone. Sedative. A dream that caused horror. Nightmare. The regular time of sleeping. Sleeping pattern. Accomplish the desired task. Do the trick. People who have a medical disorder of the sleep. Sleeping disorder. Fall asleep. Get to sleep.
Let's try that faster.
A dream that caused horror. Nightmare. Fall asleep. Go to sleep. A drug that calms or relaxes someone. Sedative. The regular time of sleeping. Sleeping pattern. People who have a medical disorder of the sleep. Sleeping disorder. Accomplish the desired task. Do the trick. Fall asleep. Get to sleep.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Get to sleep. Sometimes I need to put on some music in order to get to sleep. Get to sleep. I got to sleep really late last night because I couldn't stop worrying about my presentation today. Get to sleep. I couldn't get to sleep until after midnight. Nightmare. I've had the same nightmare night after night for the past month. Nightmare. I woke up from my nightmare just before I found out what was behind the door. Nightmare. I never have dreams, but every so often I get nightmares. Sedative. They gave me a sedative before I went into surgery. Sedative. I often use a mild sedative in order to calm myself down when I get anxious. Sedative. I've heard that some people put sedatives in other people's drinks at bars in order to rob them. Sleeping pattern. My sleeping patterns have been all over the place recently. Sleeping pattern. I have a consistent sleeping pattern and I intend to stick to it. Sleeping pattern. I managed to regulate my sleeping pattern, so now I can't even sleep in if I wanted to. Do the trick. If you start getting tired while studying, drinking some coffee should do the trick. Do the trick. Just add some more salt to the soup and that should do the trick. Do the trick. If you turn up the volume of the microphone a bit, it should do the.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we have an intermediate level lesson all about a very special kind of person who helps you out with your kids.
That's right. Today we want to get a nanny. A nanny.
A nanny. So a nanny is a person, usually a woman, but it can be a man as well, I guess. And this person takes care of your children when you're working or when you're out of the house.
That's right. So this is what's going on today. We're going to see what type of responsibilities a nanny has. And so let's listen to our dialogue and we'll be back in a bit.
Hey Mel, are you up for some tennis today?
Sorry, I can't. I have to go to work, pick up Jake and Maddie from school, and make them an afternoon snack, then take Jake to soccer practice and Maddie to dance class.
You sound exhausted. Maybe you should hire a nanny to help you out. She can pick the kids up and take them to their after-school activities. She can also help you do some household chores and run some errands.
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to find the right nanny. You have to consider her previous work experience, the responsibilities you give her, and how she interacts with the kids. I would love to have someone to help me out, though.
I think you should definitely consider it. This way, you won't have to juggle such a busy schedule, and you'll still get to spend time with the kids in the evenings. I can refer you to this great nanny, Amy. She used to work for my neighbors before they moved away. She's very responsible, a good cook, and great with kids.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Grace. Can you give me her number? I'll talk it over with Julie and give her a call tomorrow. Maybe this way I won't be so tired every day, and Julie and I might even get to go on a date once in a while.
All right, we're back. So now let's take a look at some key words on language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
So, as you said, Marco, we don't just find a nanny, we hire a nanny. So what does the word hire mean?
Okay, so we have the verb to hire someone, and that means to get someone to work for you, and you pay them obviously money in exchange for their services.
Okay, so this is different from finding a job for someone. Because I could find a job for someone, but maybe that job is at a restaurant. But when I hire someone, that means I want that person to work for me or for my company.
That's right. So in this case, obviously, we are not a company. We are just a couple of people who are looking for a nanny. So we need to hire a nanny. We need to get her to work for us. And obviously, you would pay her a salary.
All right. So when you pay her a salary, you also have some expectations about what the nanny will do. So one of those expectations is that the nanny will take the children to their after-school activities.
That's right. So this is a phrase, if you will, or a type of thing that happens after school. So usually children, when they finish their classes, they have some things that they can do at school, like, for example, sports.
That's right. So this is very common in America, but not so common in other parts of the world. So just to explain, if your child is in high school or middle school, after school is over, there's no more class, your child might want to play soccer or to go to art class. And these are things that you do at the school, but it's usually considered an activity, not a class. And so we call these after-school activities.
That's right. So these activities are usually for recreation. They're not really part of the curriculum. It's not a class.
No, you don't get marks or grades for these. These are just for fun, you know. A lot of people work, and so they need to have these activities for their kids to stay at school until they finish working.
That's right. Okay, so we want the nanny to take the children or pick them up from their after-school activities. And we also need the nanny to help out with some household chores.
Okay, so you should know where these chores are being done. The first word is household, which means in the house.
Okay, so examples of household chores would be like cleaning the windows,
washing the dishes.
Or doing laundry. So basically any type of cleaning around the house.
That's right, making the house look nicer. And so usually children have chores. These are things they need to do, but a nanny can also help with household chores.
Okay. And also we want the nanny to help and run some errands.
Okay, so this is funny. This phrasal verb. This phrase uses the word to run, but we're not running like, a sport.
Right.
We're going to do some errands, but the verb here is to run errands. So, Marco, on Sunday I have to run some errands. I'm sorry I can't go out to the movie with you guys.
Okay. So to run errands, what does that mean?
Well, an errand is like a job or a task that you have to do, but it's usually not something you get paid for.
Okay.
To run an errand is like to go to the grocery store and pick up food, or to pick up your clothes at the laundromat. You have dry cleaning.
Okay, so they're kind of like chores, I guess, but you don't really do them in the house. You have to go outside and run these errands. You have to go pay your bills, for example.
Exactly. And so, when I was growing up, on the weekends, my mother would always run all of her errands because during the week she had to work.
Okay, very good. So a lot of interesting words there. I think we can go ahead and listen to the dialogue again, and we'll be back in a bit with Fluency Builder.
Hey Mel, are you up for some tennis today?
Sorry, I can't. I have to go to work, pick up Jake and Maddie from school, and make them an afternoon snack, then take Jake to soccer practice and Maddie to dance class.
You sound exhausted. Maybe you should hire a nanny to help you out. She can pick the kids up and take them to their after-school activities. She can also help you do some household chores and run some errands.
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to find the right nanny. You have to consider her previous work experience, the responsibilities you give her, and how she interacts with the kids. I would love to have someone to help me out, though.
I think you should definitely consider it. This way, you won't have to juggle such a busy schedule, and you'll still get to spend time with the kids in the evenings. I can refer you to this great nanny, Amy. She used to work for my neighbors before they moved away. She's very responsible, a good cook, and great with kids.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Grace. Can you give me her number? I'll talk it over with Julie and give her a call tomorrow. Maybe this way I won't be so tired every day, and Julie and I might even get to go on a date once in a while.
All right, we're back with Fluency Builder, and so let's take a look at some of these phrases now.
Fluency Builder.
So this first phrase is a very kind of spoken English phrase, something that you're going to hear all the time, especially if you're talking to your American friends. We say, "Are you up for some tennis today?" To be up for.
Okay, so to be up for something, this is from the very first sentence when Grace says, "Hey Mel, are you up for some tennis today?" What does it mean if I ask someone if they are up for some tennis?
This means, would you like to play tennis today? Are you interested in playing tennis today? So is this a good idea for you? Do you want to do this?
So basically, are you willing to play tennis today?
Yes. All right, so to be up for is to be interested in or willing to do something. Are you up for a movie tonight? All right.
Okay, or maybe you can ask your friend, are you up for grabbing a bite to eat later on?
Absolutely, I'm hungry. So, to be up for is a good way to ask a question. After that, though, we have another phrase. This phrase is very important when you're trying to get someone to help you. So how do we ask, can you help me?
In the dialogue, we saw how Mel said that it would be a great idea to get a nanny because she would love to have someone to help me out. So, to help someone out, to help me out.
So this is interesting because you could say, I need someone to help me, but it's more common to hear the phrase to help me out. So you're not going out. You're not, it doesn't have to do with space. But we just say this phrase to help out means to help someone.
So it's basically the exact same thing, but it just sounds a lot more natural.
Exactly. So, Marco, I'm moving tomorrow. Do you have some time to help me out?
Okay. So you say help me out, but you could also say, do you have time to help me? And
exactly.
both are okay.
Or if I'm talking about me and my friend, we're really busy tomorrow. Do you have any time to help us out?
Okay, so we just changed the person there. We went to the plural form.
Yes, me, us, you.
Okay, very good. Okay, and so for our last phrase, this is actually also very interesting when Grace was telling Mel that she's really busy and if she gets a nanny, she wouldn't have to juggle such a busy schedule.
All right, so the key verb here is to juggle. Now, I wish I could show this to you guys, but as this is an audio podcast, I can't. What does the verb to juggle mean, Marco?
Well, I don't know if you've ever seen clowns or at a circus where people have 3 balls and they throw them in the air with 2 hands, and they're basically throwing stuff in the air, sometimes balls or pins and stuff like that.
Sometimes fire.
Fire. So that's to juggle, basically to have many things in your hands and be able to move them at the same time.
All right, so when you're talking about a busy schedule, this means that you have lots and lots of things to do. It's important to be able to juggle your busy schedule. That means to handle doing many things at the same time.
That's right.
All right. So another way to say this is because you're so busy right now, having a nanny will help you complete your tasks or, finish what you need to do.
That's right. So you can also say the CEO of the company has to juggle a very busy schedule.
All right. He has many, many things to do in general.
That's right. Okay. So a lot of stuff. I think it's time for us to listen to this dialogue one last time, and we'll be back to talk a little bit more.
Hey Mel, are you up for some tennis today?
Sorry, I can't. I have to go to work, pick up Jake and Maddie from school, and make them an afternoon snack, then take Jake to soccer practice and Maddie to dance class.
You sound exhausted. Maybe you should hire a nanny to help you out. She can pick the kids up and take them to their after-school activities. She can also help you do some household chores and run some errands.
Oh, I don't know. It's hard to find the right nanny. You have to consider her previous work experience, the responsibilities you give her, and how she interacts with the kids. I would love to have someone to help me out, though.
I think you should definitely consider it. This way, you won't have to juggle such a busy schedule, and you'll still get to spend time with the kids in the evenings. I can refer you to this great nanny, Amy. She used to work for my neighbors before they moved away. She's very responsible, a good cook, and great with kids.
Oh, that's great. Thanks, Grace. Can you give me her number? I'll talk it over with Julie and give her a call tomorrow. Maybe this way I won't be so tired every day, and Julie and I might even get to go on a date once in a while.
So there are a lot of people all over the world who have nannies. I often see them when I go to New York City, women who take out the kids and they push them in strollers, and mom and dad maybe go to work or have classes or something.
That's right. Now, this is interesting because there's also another word called a babysitter, but it's different, right? There's a difference between a nanny and a babysitter. They both take care of kids, but I think it's the time that they do it that's a difference.
That's right. So a nanny is usually hired on a contract basis. You say, I need a nanny to come and watch my kids every day, Monday to Friday, for the next 6 months. But with a babysitter, you say, hey, my husband and I, we want to go to watch a movie on Friday. Can you come for 2 hours?
Okay.
All right. So a nanny is long term. It's someone who maybe lives with you, someone who does some work at your house, someone who cleans the dishes and watches the kids. But a babysitter just comes, once a month or just when you need her.
That's right. Okay. So that's the main difference between a nanny and a babysitter. Now, as you said, they're very, very common nowadays because I guess it's not like before when women usually would stay at home and take care of the children. Now both parents usually work, and so more people are getting nannies.
That's right. Although nannies can be very expensive, it depends where you live. And so for people who can't afford a nanny, if a nanny is too expensive, the baby will go to daycare. And that's actually like a place where many babies or children are together, and there's one teacher or one nanny who takes care of everyone.
That's right. So it's an interesting topic. Maybe some of our listeners grew up with a nanny or had a nanny when they were growing up, or maybe you have kids of your own and you have a nanny now.
Yeah, let us know. You should check our website out. We are englishpod.com. We hope to see you guys there.
Okay, bye.
Bye.
The English Pod Audio Review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Very tired. Exhausted. To give work. Hire. A woman who is paid to care for a young child. Nanny. A small job that is done regularly. Chore. Short journey that you take to do or get something. Errand. To do several things at the same time. Juggle. To send someone to a person or place for treatment. Refer.
Let's try that faster.
A woman who is paid to care for a young child. Nanny. A small job that is done regularly. Chore. To send someone to a person or place for treatment. Refer. Very tired. Exhausted. To give work. Hire. Short journey that you take to do or get something. Errand. To do several things at the same time. Juggle.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Are you up for some fun today? We're going to an amusement park. I don't feel so well. I don't think I'm up for basketball this afternoon. What do you want to do? I'm up for anything. I can't go out until I finish my chores. My mom left me with a list of chores to do around the house. Very few children enjoy doing household chores. When you are applying for a new job, your interviewer will ask for recommendations from your previous employer. My parents are much nicer to Alex than they were to my previous boyfriend, Jared. This house is smaller than our previous house, but it's in a better neighborhood. This job comes with a lot of responsibility. Are you sure you can handle it? It's my responsibility to take care of the family dog. Mark has a lot of responsibilities as president, but he does his job well. From the way they interact, it seems like they are good friends. My schedule is so busy, I don't have much time to interact with my friends anymore. You can learn a lot from interacting with people of different backgrounds. Juggle. Cindy has to juggle work, school, and taking care of her son, Daniel. Juggle. Even though Manuel is very busy, he does a good job of juggling all his responsibilities. Juggle. Every day at work, Laura juggles many different tasks.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to English Pod. My name is Marco.
My name is Catherine, and today we have a very serious dialogue for you.
That's right. We are going to talk about a will and testament, the last will and testament of someone.
All right, so what is a will and testament? Well, basically, this is a document that someone writes, usually with a lawyer, that explains what to do with the person's body and their possessions, their things, after they die.
Right.
So many people write these, and the family will then use it to discover who gets to receive certain objects and what to do with this person's body.
Right. Exactly. So that is a last will and testament. We are going to take a look at an example of one so you would see more or less in English how one is written. Now, obviously, they can be very long and very complex. So we've taken one that has some interesting words there that are a little bit more specific, a lot of legal terms there. So why don't we listen to this dialogue for the first time, and we'll be back shortly.
Last Will and Testament of Luke Thompson. I, Luke Thompson, residing in California, being of sound mind, do hereby declare this instrument to be my last will and testament. I hereby revoke all previous wills and codicils. I direct that the disposition of my remains be as follows. I am to be cremated and taken to the summit of Mount Everest, where my ashes will forever remain at the ceiling of the earth. I give all the rest and residue of my estate to my spouse, Betty Thompson, should she survive me for 60 days. If my spouse, Betty Thompson, does not survive me, I give all the rest and residue of my estate to English Pod. If neither Betty Thompson nor English Pod survives me, I give all the rest and residue of my estate to my heirs as determined by the laws of the state of California relating to descent and distribution. I appoint Robert Porter to act as the executor of this will, to serve without bond. Should Robert Porter be unable or unwilling to serve, then I appoint Jason Smalls to act as the executor of this will. I herewith affix my signature to this will on this, the 23rd of May, 2010, in the presence of the following witnesses, who witnessed and subscribed this will at my request and in my presence.
All right, we're back. So now we're going to take a look at 5 key words on language takeaway.
Language takeaway.
Okay, the first word here in language takeaway comes from the very beginning of this, monologue. We're reading the last will and testament aloud. I, Luke Thompson, residing in California, being of sound mind. Sound as an adjective. What does this mean?
That's very interesting. So he says, I am in sound mind. And sound is an adjective to describe I am in a good state of mind.
That's right. So it means not having any problems or logical or unaffected.
Basically, I'm not crazy, right?
Right. I'm not crazy. I don't have any problems. We can say this about other things, too. We can say he's of sound body.
Right. That means that he is healthy. He has no problems with his body.
Or I could say, Marco, that's a really good decision. It's a sound decision.
So, again, that's also a way of saying good or...
It will work.
It will work. It's a good decision. It's
feasible.
Yeah. So you can use this adjective with sound body, sound mind, or a sound decision. Or sometimes some people even say, I think in Ireland, they say, oh, he's a really sound guy.
Oh, so he's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Very interesting.
Yeah.
I learned something.
So sound body, sound mind, sound guy. Moving on, he was talking about the will, and he says, I hereby revoke all previous wills and codicils.
The verb here is to revoke.
To revoke.
This is something that a lot of people hear in America when they drive their car too fast.
Yeah.
The police catch them, and the police revoke their driver's license.
And that basically means to take away.
That's right.
To take, right?
To take away from. So this man here, Luke Thompson, what he's saying is, I revoke all previous wills. That means any other will that I wrote before, it's not good anymore.
Right.
I'm throwing it away. This is the only one that will exist.
Mm-hmm. So you can use this word revoke with many aspects. For example, sometimes employees will get their benefits revoked by the company because maybe they don't have enough money anymore.
Or maybe they're bad employees.
Or maybe they were bad employees.
That's too bad.
All right, so to revoke. Now, moving on, he was talking about his estate. So this is very interesting because he says, I give all the rest and residue of my estate to my spouse.
Okay, estate, it sounds like a very fancy word. It is a fancy word. Sometimes we use this word to mean someone's property, their house. Mm-hmm. But in a will, this means everything the person owns. House, car, things, pets, stocks, investments. The estate is essentially everything the person owns as a kind of one unit.
Right, exactly. So anything that is yours or you may have bought, just consider the estate is a big bag, right? That's your estate. And inside this bag is everything that you own.
You might see advertisements, in fact, in America or in England for estate sales. This means that when someone passes away, when they die, their family will sell their things, and this is an estate sale. You can find beautiful, interesting things at estate sales.
Exactly. Very interesting. So that is a person's estate. Now remember, this is in the legal terms because you also have other things like real estate and, as you mentioned, which would be a house, right? Okay. Now, apart from his estate, he was telling everyone as to how they should take care of his body or what they should do with it. And he said, well, I am to be cremated.
Okay, this is important. When a person dies, there are generally two options. Their body can be buried in a casket in the ground. That means they're put in the earth. But a lot of people choose to be cremated.
All right.
Okay, that means that their body will be burned. And their ashes, that means the things that are left after they are burned, they will be taken somewhere else.
Right.
Like in a bowl or a pot.
Right. And in this case, that's what the person wants. He wants to be cremated. So that would be the verb to cremate. And the noun would be a cremation.
Cremation. And what is going to happen to all this stuff? Basically, it's going to be given away to his wife, to English Pod, and to his heirs. This is our next word. What is an heir?
Now, if you notice, the H is silent there. So his heirs. And those are basically his children. His daughters or his sons.
Right. My heirs are the people who are related to me, who, in this case, will receive some of my things.
Now, is it only the children, or also it could be maybe any other relatives?
It could be any other relative. You could say, I'm his heir, he's my great uncle. Means we're related, but we're not necessarily father and daughter or grandfather and granddaughter. An heir is someone who is related to the family. It doesn't have to be a certain relationship.
And now it's interesting because from this word we can get inheritance. Now we didn't find it in the dialogue. So it's very interesting because they're very similar in spelling, right? Inheritance and heir.
Right. Good to remember.
Yeah, good to remember. You switch the E and the I's, right?
That's right. So inheritance is a thing. You can receive this. So I received an inheritance from my great-grandmother. That means I received some money or some things.
And that means you were that person's heir.
That's right.
Okay.
Or, in his inheritance, he received a large house. He was the heir to a great fortune.
Okay, interesting. So again, inheritance wasn't in the dialogue, but I think it's worth mentioning. And I think now we can move on to 4 very interesting items that we have for you on Fluency Builder.
Okay, these first 2 are words that we normally read or hear in legal documents. And I want to place emphasis on the fact that we don't really say them in spoken English. So remember that these are more formal terms.
Yeah.
The first one is hereby.
Hereby.
I hereby declare.
Right.
That means now.
Now.
With this word, with this spoken sentence, this will happen.
I think we've seen it like in movies sometimes. It's like, I hereby declare this country in the name of England.
I hereby declare you man and wife.
Exactly. Okay.
That means in this moment, this happens.
Okay. And a very similar word that we also saw in the dialogue is herewith.
So in the will and testament, we hear Luke Thompson who says, I herewith affix my signature. That means with the action of signing my name, signing my signature, this will be completed. Okay. So I herewith, you have to have an action, not just a word.
Okay,
That's
so
the difference.
I herewith
attach my seal. Okay, a seal is like a stamp, very common in the old days when you had real letters. But I herewith attach my seal and give my approval to this document.
Okay, so it has to be something physical.
Yeah.
Right? So if maybe you're writing like this very classic letter and you say, I herewith include a lock of my hair.
Ooh, how romantic.
Okay, that's kind of creepy, but but you're including or attaching physically, right? I guess the modern version of herewith would be attach.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Herewith, hereby. But we've got another phrase here that you might hear more commonly. At the beginning of the will and testament, there's a phrase, as follows, okay? I direct that the disposition of my remains be as follows. So, with my body, do as follows.
So basically, this is a very common way of putting this in a sentence to indicate that you're going to start to list items.
That's right, or give instructions.
Give instructions.
So, for example, to make a loaf of bread, do as follows. Number 1, get some flour. Number 2, add some water. So this is a way for us to say, listen, I'm going to give you instructions or a list. Pay attention. So please do as follows. Please act as follows.
Okay, very good. And our last word that we have here, going back to herewith, he said, I herewith affix my signature. What does it mean when you affix?
Okay, affix is a word we have a number of other words for these days, so you rarely hear it. It means to attach or to include.
Okay, so I herewith affix my signature would be attach my signature.
Right, I provide my signature, or I herewith affix my address, or I herewith affix something.
Okay, very good. Really interesting stuff. You'll obviously see this very commonly with legal documents such as these, even though it is like older English, it's still very commonly used. I guess because the law is so old.
That's right, definitely. And I think that it's worth listening to today's monologue one more time. Think about some of the words that we've just discussed, and we'll be back in a moment.
Last Will and Testament of Luke Thompson. I, Luke Thompson, residing in California, being of sound mind, do hereby declare this instrument to be my last will and testament. I hereby revoke all previous wills and codicils. I direct that the disposition of my remains be as follows. I am to be cremated and taken to the summit of Mount Everest, where my ashes will forever remain at the ceiling of the earth. I give all the rest and residue of my estate to my spouse, Betty Thompson, should she survive me for 60 days. If my spouse, Betty Thompson, does not survive me, I give all the rest and residue of my estate to English Pod. If neither Betty Thompson nor English Pod survives me, I give all the rest and residue of my estate to my heirs as determined by the laws of the state of California relating to descent and distribution. I appoint Robert Porter to act as the executor of this will, to serve without bond. Should Robert Porter be unable or unwilling to serve, then I appoint Jason Smalls to act as the executor of this will. I herewith affix my signature to this will on this, the 23rd of May, 2010, in the presence of the following witnesses, who witnessed and subscribed this will at my request and in my presence.
All right, we're back. So this is a very interesting topic. Now, I wonder, within the will or within the estate, do you also acquire a person's debts?
Ah, that's a good question.
Because I know in some countries you do, in some countries you don't. I know in like some cases, some heirs have found themselves in some legal problems because all of a sudden they inherited that person's debts and stuff like that.
I think that does happen, especially for people whose properties are mortgaged. For example, if your uncle has a house and he didn't pay for it with cash, he has a mortgage, and he dies, and you inherit this house, you also inherit the mortgage.
Yeah.
So sometimes inheritances are not always a good thing. I think this happened more in the past. There are more protections and safeguards for people today.
Right.
But definitely, I mean, what is it like in Ecuador? Do people inherit debt?
Yeah, I think obviously most banks, when they give out loans or a mortgage, they have somebody that will kind of co-sign on these things. And I imagine, I'm not really very sure, but I know that if you inherit an estate that has a mortgage, you are forced to pay it. And if you can't, then they will make that other person who co-signed it responsible if he still exists. I don't know. In these legal systems, it's sometimes very strange because it seems like there would be a lot of gaps.
That's right. And everyone wants to protect themselves.
Yeah, exactly.
So we've got the bank that wants to protect itself. It gives a loan. It wants the money back.
Right.
And a person who wants to protect himself from maybe a relative who
Has a lot of
dies and
debt.
has debt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm curious to know what our users have to say. What is the situation in your country? Do most people have a will and testament? What happens with debt?
Or what happens if somebody dies and they don't have a will and testament?
That's a good question, too. I don't have an answer for that one.
All right, so let us know and we'll give you guys some information on that as well. EnglishPod.com. We'll see everyone there.
Bye, everyone.
Bye. The English Pod audio review. Listen to the meaning, then say the vocabulary word.
Live in a place permanently. Reside. Free from disease or injury, in good condition. Sound. By means of or as a result of this. Hereby. A paper made to settle property after one's death. Last will and testament. The body of a dead person. Remains. The highest point, top. Summit. Everything you own, all your assets. Estate. Choose someone to do a particular job. Appoint. Add or append. Affix. To sign at the end of the will or contract. Subscribe. A person's partner in marriage. Spouse. Cancel. Revoke.
Let's try that faster.
The body of a dead person. Remains. Cancel. Revoke. Choose someone to do a particular job. Appoint. A person's partner in marriage. Spouse. To sign at the end of the will or contract. Subscribe. Add or append. Affix. A paper made to settle property after one's death. Last will and testament. Free from disease or injury, in good condition. Sound. The highest point, top. Summit. By means of or as a result of this. Hereby. Live in a place permanently. Reside. Everything you own, all your assets. Estate.
Now say the word and hear it in a sentence.
Revoke. His driving license was revoked by the police. Revoke. My parents revoked my phone privileges. Revoke. The court decided to revoke the terrorist's citizenship. Remains. The remains were transferred to the morgue. Remains. A cemetery has the remains of many people. Remains. The police covered the remains with a white sheet. Estate. Bill Gates' estate is valued at over $1 billion. Estate. A person's estate is comprised of all assets which are held in the descendant's name alone. Estate. The family divided the estate equally among everyone. Hereby. I hereby declare you husband and wife. Hereby. I hereby resign as President of the United States. Hereby. We hereby commit to obeying the laws of this country. Appoint. The President appointed me as the Vice President. Appoint. My teacher appointed me as the classroom monitor. Appoint. He was appointed as the child's legal guardian.